Good afternoon. Welcome to Marty's Vice. Today's pattern this afternoon, I'm tying a chili pepper. It's a pretty straightforward woolly booger, but it incorporates a couple of unusual materials and makes for a nice pattern, a little different color range than what's in most fly boxes. I'm starting off with a Dairiki 700 size 8 hook. The bead is 3/16 in copper. And I'm going to wrap it with lead in a diameter of .030. The Dairiki 700 is a 4x long hook, and with a big bead on the front, I think you want that extra length. Get some separation between the bead and your hook point. Now I've made 6 or 8 turns of lead. I don't need a lot. This isn't really so much for weight as to center the bead and give me a platform on which to finish the fly. We'll talk about that when we get there. I get a little bit of super glue on the shank of the hook. Slide the lead forward, and by the time I get there in this fly, it'll be nice and set. The orange thread is part of the fly, so you do want to use a bright orange of some sort. The first thing I'm going to do is get burnt orange woolly booger plume. Now you can pluck some off the side and get 2 or 3 flies out of each feather, but I'm going to use the choice part today. I'm going to peel off the sides until all the fibers that are left are all about the same length. And measure it from the back of the lead so that it extends out about a hook length. And for neatness sake, I'm going to cut it first, nestle it right up against the lead. And then move the thread a couple of turns forward. The crystal flash is copper. I find I've been using less and less strands of crystal flash in my streamers and boogers. So today I'm just going to use 2 on each side. And if you haven't done this before, this is going to be worth the price of admission, tying this booger from the front. I'm going to get a grizzly dyed brown feather off of a whiting booger pack. You can use a regular brown or a furnace. And I'm going to tie that in right behind the bead. Then I'm going to get a strand of tinsel. This is Wapsi tinsel chenille copper. And I bared a little bit of cord, and I'm just going to carefully tie that in and get a couple of tight wraps, and then just quickly move the thread back and out of the way. Now as I wrap forward, each wrap I make is going to twist that chenille, so every once in a while I'll stop and give back any twists that I've put into it. And that seems to give a denser, more even wrap. Same holds true for typical rayon chenilles. When I get to the back, I'm just going to take a wrap to hold it in place. And I always make my first half turn at least by hand to get it started with the colored part forward. And it also makes the feathers cup to the back. Then I'll grab it with hackle pliers, turn and a half or so. You kind of judge by how much feather you have to work with, and then just start back. One more turn of orange thread. I'm going to make 2. Then I'm going to kind of wiggle the thread and palmer it through the whole fly. So that's one durable fly. If that feather ever breaks, it's not going to have a chance to unwind because it's been counterwrapped. Now another unique feature of this fly is we're going to show a little bit of turtleneck, and that's why we wanted to use orange thread. Now, if I hadn't used lead, or I'd only used a couple of turns, or I'd used a smaller lead, I'd have to make a whole bunch of turns to get this collar built up. So you want to use a lead that fits into the bead fairly snugly, and then you just don't have to make so many wraps here. And I'm going to make a couple of whip finishes, and I don't have very much tension on the thread as I make the whip finish. I'll pull it tight now, and that'll give you a nice even collar all the way around. And we're done. And since I haven't fished this a whole lot of seasons yet, I'm still thinking I'm going to go ahead and use head cement on this one. Yeah, water-based today, but just get a little bit of that on there to encourage those thread wraps to stay together. So there's your chili pepper fly. It's great in the spring, great in the high water, great as a little crawfish pattern. I imagine in smaller sizes this one would account for some good carp too. Thanks for watching.